Let me recognize our distinguished Director of Public Prosecutions and her staff, our regional chairwoman, the mayor of Anna Regina, our important developmental partner, Loreno Solazar, my distinguished colleague from Parliament, Commander, all other public officers were here, of course, the Assistant to the Honorable Prime Minister of our country, Arnold Adams, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, it is always an honor to be here in Essequibo, and it is even a greater honor today for me to be speaking to you at this podium. This is a very simple but significant ceremony that we are participating in. It is indeed a very historic event. I have said on many occasions whenever I am afforded the opportunity to, that this generation of Guyanese is the most fortunate of all generations of Guyanese. What our foreparents toiled, struggled, and dreamt of, we have the opportunity of realizing and living those dreams and aspirations. Oftentimes we speak in today's society about the transformation that is taking place across this land. And it is taking place before your very eyes. But sometimes we must remind ourselves of that transformation, and we must identify the transformative projects so that we actually realize and relate to the transformational exercise. So mention was made of Essequibo being historically described as the Cinderella County. Cinderella, of course, from that fable, was a stepsister. And obviously, that meant that she would have received second-hand treatment. Essequibo today is very much at the forefront of the transformational exercise taking place in our country. We have a state-of-the-art hospital being constructed at Lima, a European model hospital where you will be able to have top-class medical facilities and services right here in your county, just a stone's throw away from here. Abramsville Secondary School, located a stone's throw away from here, is one of the first smart schools we have built in Guyana. At Anna Regina, work has begun on a world-class international stadium. To my right, you have a wonderful building here that will house a call center. At Anna Regina, there is another call center that is just constructed and will open its doors for business shortly. The government is spending billions and billions of dollars in the agriculture sector of this region because agriculture remains the backbone of region number 2. And I've just given you, in a very summary way, some of the transformational projects taking place before your eyes. And I've touched on the health sector, the education sector, youth and sports, job creation, agriculture. Of equal importance is the legal sector, because it is the legal sector that maintains law and order in this society. And you can have all the facilities, and you can have the best projects in all the social sectors. But if the society is not governed by law and order, if there is no system that guarantees the people justice in accordance with law, then all the other sectors will mean very little to you, the human beings. Because when you look at the history of man, from the beginning of time, it has been a struggle for justice and freedom. That is what the history of the human being has been. A struggle for freedom and justice. The DPP spoke, rightfully, admonishing our young people and older folks not to commit wrongs, not to find yourself in breach of the law. But human history has taught us differently. From the beginning of time, the human animal has had a constant battle with the laws. Even before, when we were living in the ancient times when we didn't have modern society, and we were living in an unregulated environment, and we started to make the first rules, they started to be breaches. Those of us who study the Bible, in the Garden of Eden, Adam ate the forbidden fruit. He breached the first law, if you're Christians. The point I am making, unfortunately, is that no matter how much we try, as a people and as a society and as a world, we have been unable not to find ourselves in conflict with the law. And when we find ourselves in conflict with the law, it is the justice system that we turn for fair treatment, for equality in treatment, and for justice in accordance with law. And if you travel across the length and breadth of Guyana, you will see the thousands of Guyanese every single day, starting from Crabwood Creek all the way to the tip of the Guyana map and all the way to the bottom, most southern end of the Guyana map. You travel this country, you go to all the courts, And you will see that every day they are overcrowded with guidees who turn up there seeking justice in accordance with law. And that is the reason why I have said that justice and the rule of law are as important and as indispensable as any other right and any other freedom to which you are entitled to as citizens of this country. And we have to ensure that you have access to these institutions, because it is crucial to civilization itself that you have access to the institutions. The justice institutions and the adjunct institutions that are part and parcel of the holistic machinery called the justice system. The Director of Public Prosecutions Office is one of those. So right here in this region, we constructed a brand new court, a charity. We are constructing one right now at Anna Regina. We constructed a brand new magistrates court not so long ago at Bartica. Another important institution attached to the justice system is the Deeds and Commercial Registry Authority. And in a few weeks, I will return here to declare open a spanking, modern, new edifice that will headquarter the operations of that important institution right here at, I think, Sadi, right here on the Essequibo coast. The government is investing heavily in all these institutions, in particular in the justice sector, because of a recognition that if there is no rule of law and if there is no access to justice, then the society will implode. We will resort to violence in settling our disputes. And that is what is called anarchy. Only recently, fresh in our minds, would have been the events that followed the March 2nd, 2020 regional and general elections, where attempts after attempts were made to derail our electoral process. Just imagine what would have happened in this country if those attempts were successful. In the end, it was the rule of law and it was our judicial system at the highest level that had to intervene to bring normalcy to the society. You didn't have a parliament. You didn't really have a government, because the government was toppled by a no confidence motion 2 years before and had lost elections. So you didn't really have a government legally in force. You didn't have a parliament in force because parliament was dissolved by law to allow elections to take place. The only arm of government that was there was the judiciary, the justice sector. And that justice sector, we had to travel all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice. And in the end, the rule of law prevailed and normalcy returned to this land. So we don't have to look far and beyond for the importance of access to justice, the rule of law, and the justice system. We have examples that are right before us, where our country could have been destroyed, completely destroyed. I don't know whether we would have even been here today. The regional chairman spoke about a threat of invasion and annexation. In fact, a law was passed by Venezuela to annex Essequibo. They have that in their law. They have put an extra star on their flag, signifying the state of Essequibo as theirs. The reason why they have not invaded and carried out those bellicose threats is because of the rule of law. Because we have a case pending at the International Court of Justice. Another example with which you are familiar of the power and fundamental importance of the rule of law to your very existence and the very existence of a peaceful society. I tell you all of that so that you appreciate the importance of this building that we are here to declare open. And it must not be it's not an edifice alone. There's nothing great about a two-story concrete building. It's quite ordinary when you look at it. But what it represents and the service that it will provide to you, the people of Essequibo, that is of fundamental importance. And the fact that we never had this before in Region 2. So the Director of Public Prosecutions, first of all, is an independent office. Government can't give, that is not part, the DPP is not part of government. Government as you know it. I am part of government as you know it. Not the DPP and not the justice sector. They are independent institutions. So I can't instruct Shalimar Ali Haq. Even the president cannot instruct Shalimar Ali Haq on how to discharge her functions. And what her functions are. The functions of the DPP is to offer criminal advice to the investigative arm of the state and to carry out prosecutorial functions when it is decided that charges should be instituted for misconduct. And that's a process that is independent of the government. Many people are calling upon me every day to explain what is happening in the court system or explain what is happening at the DPP office. Why this person is not charged. Why this person was not charged. We have no control over that process. And we must understand that. And those insulations are for the public good. Because if the government could have instructed the DPP who to charge, and when to charge, and who not to charge, then you would have had a society that would not have been grounded in the rule of law. Because an errant government can then use the legal system of the country as a weapon against political opponents and people who they don't like. So these systems that are independent are there for the protection of every single citizen. I tell you that so that you can stop writing me letters to complain about how cases going on in the court. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is send a note to the DPP. And that is the government's role, however, and function, is to ensure that the DPP has the facilities so that you can interact directly with the DPP. And that is why we have built this edifice here. So, in the past, as was explained to you, you had to go all the way to Georgetown. If you feel that your case was not dealt with fairly, or if you feel that the case advice is taking too long, now you can come here in the bottom flat of this building and you can engage someone from the DPP's office who will be able to answer your queries and questions. And that is the importance of the bottom flat. The top flat is to provide accommodation for the DPP lawyers who are prosecuting important criminal cases at Saudi High Court. You know, by law, there are certain cases that must be tried by a judge and a jury. Murder, manslaughter, rape, etc. are what is called capital offenses. And all of them are required to be tried by a judge sitting with a jury. And the case for the prosecution is presented by the Director of Public Prosecutions or one of our employees. Now that is a very important function, because sometimes we tend to believe that only the defendant or the accused person or the person who is charged has rights. Sometimes we think so. So many times you only hear about the accused's rights and the presumption of innocence and the right to a fair trial. All of that are guaranteed to the accused persons. And he or she must enjoy those rights. But there is another person who is involved in the equation, and that person is the victim. Somebody is the recipient of the crime. Somebody is the victim of the crime. That person may be dead, but that person got relatives who want to see justice. The society wants punishment for wrongdoing. That is the public policy of any civilized society. So the public good requires, when a crime is committed, there must be fair and adequate punishment, so that you don't feel offended. It must meet what reasonable citizens expect for the type of offense committed. So the quality, the offense itself must bear some reasonable relationship with the penalty that is imposed. And it is the Director of Public Prosecutions who represents your interest, the public's interest, the state interest, and the interest of the victims of crime. Hence the need to ensure that after a hard day's work in the court, they get to rest properly in a nice air-conditioned room. Because they need to recharge batteries and go again the next day. Before, they used to be staying at hotels, they used to be staying at different houses that the DPP used to rent. Now, all of that is eliminated, and they have comfortable accommodation, both officially in their office and residentially in the apartment quarters that we will visit in a few moments. And these are important facilities to ensure that the justice that you demand as citizens are delivered to you. And that is why our government is expending so much money in the justice system, in the police system. We are building police stations all across the country. We are building prison systems. Brand new prison is being constructed at Lusignan. Modern facilities. Why? Because when our citizens go into prison, they also must come out from there better than they went in. So we have to rehabilitate and reform them. And part of this criminal justice project includes that component as well. So last week, I spoke at the launch of a training program at the University of Guyana, where we are training 60 prison officers in mental health issues, so that when they go into the prisons, they can use that training and skill to deal with persons who got mental health issues in the prisons and who got substance abuse issues. Why? Because we want them to be reformed and rehabilitated when they come out, so that they can make a contribution to society and they don't come out back being a nuisance and jump in your yard and thief in and all kind of things. So you have to understand the holistic nature of this equation. So this building that we are here to open, as I said, is a crucial factor in a big equation. And you must understand that equation so that you will appreciate the importance of this facility. I am happy that the DPP has committed, as I said. That office is independent. The government can't instruct the DPP what to do. But I am happy that the DPP has committed to you, and she's taped on camera so we can play it back when you come here and you don't get the type of help that she promised. I am happy that there is such a commitment from the office of the DPP so that you can have responses to the queries and questions that you have. This facility has cost over nearly $65 million, I'm told, with the construction and the furnishings. So it's a lot of money. We hope that it would be cared and it would serve the function that we have constructed it to serve. And that you, the people of Essequibo, the persons who live on this coast, will take the opportunity and make full use of these facilities so that we continue to work to improve the life and welfare of our citizens. Because that's the only reason why we are in government. We are in government to ensure that you, the citizens, enjoy in the end a better quality of life. And every day, I want to assure you that every day, your government, headed by Dr. Mohabir Ali as our president, is working assiduously in every part of this country to ensure that the citizens enjoy a better quality of life. I didn't acknowledge the presence of my PS, my apologies, and I want to thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for being present. Thank you.